Hello, and welcome back to FRLT. Yes, it is finally time for FRLT once again. We finally made it back for some more Tier 1 this week. It's very nice to be back once again this week. It's been a little while. We didn't have a full stream on Sunday, sadly, due to us not having anybody available to stream. Which of course was rather disappointing, but we are back once again, and this week we're coming to a very different track from what we've had so far this season. We come to the track of Singapore, the 5.065 kilometers, 3.147 miles, 19 turns, 3 DRS zones around this track, down the pit straight, second straight, and down the back straight. Those are all of the DRS zones on this lovely track. Here is the calendar for the season. We've now completed Australia for round 1 and then China last week. This week we go to Singapore. Yes, Singapore, we've finally made it. And then Vegas before Christmas. After Christmas, we'll be going to Monza, Austria, Britain, and Kota for January. And then we'll be having a break week before we go to Abu Dhabi and Belgium for the final 2 races of the season. Now, looking at the standings, yes, we finally have standings, and I apologize about the poor quality of them, but this week we have, here are the standings, and it's gotten incredibly close at the top, as you can see. RRE currently sitting at the bottom of the standings on 0 points. TIE will be going into this race really wanting some more luck, only on 3 points so far in their campaign. LR got some points. They got P5 last race, bringing them up to 10 points in the championship and up into 8th from last. TGF will be racing their final race tonight, same as ETE. HRT are 6th with TTRE in 5th, hoping for a big race today to climb themselves back into title contention. While in 4th, we have ETE, who are racing, like I said, their final race. And then PEC, ABE, and AMS, all within 1 point of each other here tonight. So, I believe we are now making it onto the track very shortly. Going to be waiting for the next few moments as drivers pick and choose for what tyres and stuff they want to use. And we'll be getting into it. And I can show you actually out on track right now. As the session should be getting started any second. Apologise for the poor screen. And now the session has started. It's finally started. We have 17 drivers. We're missing a driver here tonight. And I'm also missing doing something as well because I'm really stupid. Which I will actually do right this second because I'm so dumb. I forgot to click one setting, which I forgot about because I'm massively stupid and lacking in intelligence. But we are about to get going in the next few moments. As I think we're going to start to see some cars coming out onto the track. We do have a Ferrari coming out. And we've got a few others on their way out. We've got actually quite a lot of cars coming out right now. We've got a lot of the grid coming out. Currently, we're missing somebody. I think we're missing an Alpine for the moment. I do believe we are missing an Alpine. We've got some drivers already out on track. It is Len for LR who's currently out on track at the moment. It is wet conditions, by the way. Drivers are in wet conditions here at Singapore. This is crazy. We got a wet qualifying session going on over here. This is mental to think of as an opening race, as a qualifying in Singapore. Might be what we're getting for the race as well, but we'll have to see when we get round to it. But this is definitely something special. Mika says Traju Pole. We'll have to see from XR8 whether that will happen. It still seems really wet. Drivers slipping around. Most of the grid are out there now. I believe we are missing somebody. I'm not sure who we're missing. entirely. I think we're missing someone. I'm trying to see who we're missing. I think we're missing a TGF. Yeah, we are missing currently a TGF driver. I'll have to figure out who that is in a bit. We actually have a Red Bull that's on a lap. It's Traju himself. We just said about him, but he's going straight into the pits. He doesn't feel these tyres are the right ones to use. Len is going to go for a lap, though, on the wet tyres. Let's see how he's going to do. Starting off, heading down the pit straight towards turn 1. He's going to throw the car in at speed through turn 1. He goes wide. He's going to keep going, though, through turn 2 and 3. Sliding around like crazy right now as he makes his way around. Then heading up slightly over the bump into the next corner. Quite smooth coming from LR. They need a good week here. They really do need a good week. They came off of 10 points last race. They're hoping for some more this week. They're hoping to maybe get another 10 points and continue their campaign like that. The car nicely gets out of the way. And now heading into the next very tight section. This is probably one of the tightest sections, probably the second tightest section on the entire track. As you head around, it is officially the second slowest section of the track as well. Now heading down towards this corner where, of course, we saw George Russell have his crash last year. Yes, I will send you. No, I've always called you that, by the way, Mick-ass. I'm like, if I'm saying it wrong, that is probably true. I am probably saying it wrong, and I do apologize. But yeah, Lenz so far on his lap, not doing too badly. Again, I do apologize. Oh my God, Timon, holy. I need to invite a driver now because Timon has decided to disconnect. The one time I need him to actually stay in the lobby. Holy. There we go, done. Now heading round into the final two corners. What can Len do on his lap? Across the line of 1 minute 43.224 is the first lap time set of the evening. I think we have a Haas going round. I think that was BQC who actually goes second immediately, very close. It was Reckon who goes into third. Damn, I actually get the name quite close. Ryan Benink into third. Very... Yo, Diamond. Holy. Ryan Benink into third there. Very solid from himself. I think that was Sasoy, actually, who goes P3. Not fastest. The man who won last race and brought AMS into the Constructors' Championship lead is not the man who leads the first laps in qualifying here tonight. So something a bit different. Ergo now goes fastest. 1 minute 43.160. Very good lap time set. We just saw Hislar go into 6th. He's slotting over a second behind at the moment. So quite a big gap. Almost a second between 5th and 6th for the moment. As they make the... Whoa, what a spin from Hislar himself. I think we have somebody on a lap. That's Flappy Dragon on a lap at the moment. We've got Philip, who invalidated his lap, I think, or was just starting one. Sarpali, he's there. Who's the next? Okay, so I think it is going to be Sarpali, if I'm correct. It's either Sarpali or Flappy or Philip. It is Sarpali, my bad. I'm trying to find who's who. And now Len, it's actually Len who goes fastest of all, 1 minute 42.528. LR now lead the qualifying. It's all changing so incredibly quickly. Nobody has actually gone out at the same time. It's a massive difference we're seeing between drivers going out at different times. Nobody's gone out at a similar time or an incredibly different time. But they've all sort of gone out, but with some gaps between them, some different changes, tyres being a bit different, as Sarpali can only go P10 at 1 minute 45.022, slightly off of Mike Talon's in 9th, just 7 thousandths, but very far for the pace at the moment, 2.5 seconds off of the pace. Your wheel doesn't work. Oh no. Flappy Dragon now goes faster than them all. LR 1-2 in qualifying right now. Holy, 1-2. I would say reconnect it, Timon. Pull out the plug and reconnected again. It should work. It should work then. Now we can see Traju on a lap, coming round into the final set of corners. He's on those intermediate tyres. He's gone for something different. It's not going to be fastest. It is only going to be P7 and behind his teammate Ryan Benink. And decent debut for XR8 in P6 and P7 currently. Not too bad from himself. We just see Philip, fastest of all. He goes into the lead of qualifying by 4/10, by just over 4/10 of a second. Philip Fragzak absolutely on another level right now. He is absolutely on another level. And that is a lap that I did not expect to see. We've got Kirill Yasko coming up to the line next. Let's see what the TTRE driver is going to do. He goes P4. He slots in very nicely in that gap between P3 and P5 it was. And there we go. That's him done. Now on his lap, we've got Zirconium coming around. He's improving massively. He improves massively and he moves up to P6. These lap times really changing as the session goes on, as now Soviet Mario goes into P4, slots in front of Kirill Yasko. So the times are coming down. The drivers are starting to almost find their feet slightly in this session, as Mike Talons now goes P5 as well. The rain seems to be clearing off slightly here, which is good. Flappy Dragon, I think, is going for another run. He's gone out on the intermediates. He's going to be going for a push run now, so we'll have to see how he can do on his lap. I think we've got a Red Bull coming around next. It will probably be Traju. He has invalidated, though, so his session's not going to be going much better. You can see a little bit of disconnection from JD Bergsma. We got our fastest man out on track, Philip, who might be out of fuel, but he is number one and on that number one and top spot by over 4/10 of a second, so it might be a difficult lap to beat. It's one of, I think it's Ryan Benink. Yeah, Ryan Benink is going around at the moment. We do have a few drivers going around. I think that's Heisler that's going slowly, or it's his teammate, Kirill Yasko. The next driver to actually cross the line, who is on a lap, is JD Bergsma. We've finally reached him. We've finally gotten to him. Just checking if either driver's on a lap. We never know. But here comes JD Bergsma. On those wet tyres, he's hoping for a decent lap. It doesn't look like it's too fast of a lap at the moment. Already over that 1 minute 40 barrier. He slots in P6 though. Very solid. Quite far off of his teammate. Almost 8/10 behind. But it is still a solid P6 from himself. And that's exactly what you'd be hoping for on a night like this, to be honest. It's exactly what you'd be hoping for as a driver. And for ABE at the moment, P1 and P6 is exactly where they need to be. You know, they're sitting in that second in the constructors. They're fighting with AMS, who are currently rather struggling. P8 and P12 in the session so far. So was it a one race wonder? Was that what we saw from them? Is that sort of what we saw? You can see Flappy Dragon cross the line. He invalidates his lap in the end. It's a disappointment for himself. I think Heisler's starting a lap. I think we do have a Red Bull on a lap, though. I think it is going to be Traju. He's improved by over 2 seconds, so he's going to be finding a lot of time on this lap. It has stopped raining, by the way. It has now stopped raining. So this is all going to change things. There's little spits of rain, but not a huge amount. And across the line, Traju goes fastest of all by a massive amount. Holy, that is a massive amount. And that is exactly what he would have been looking for. It's Len. Then we've got a Haas, I think it is. And that is Reckon, was on a lap. And now he has hit the wall. But now Ryan Benink coming up to the line. He's up by almost 2 seconds. He could be finding himself up into a very good place, as he now goes fastest of all. 1 minute 40.201. Just over 2/10 faster than his teammate. The lap times are starting to come down. Kirill Yasko goes into P3. He's slotting quite far off of the pace for the moment. I think we next have Sasoi, who's on a lap. He's pushing very hard. It's still wet. I don't think it's time for dry tyres. But now Sasoi, fastest of all, 1 minute 39.650. The lap times are just absolutely falling down further and further. Ergo went second. Very strong lap from himself there. BQC went 5th. He slots in further behind as well at the same time. I think we're going to be having, I think it's Flappy Dragon. Flappy Dragon's next to come across the line. He was up there with Philip on the front row. He now slots into third on the second row of the grid. Very strong from himself. Then Inspo still unable to set a lap yet. He's struggling to get a lap in. Hyzar now goes P6 ahead of BQC Games, just behind Traju. It's all changing up here incredibly quickly in this session. Next driver we have is actually Len, who's coming round. He needs a good lap here. I will say, yes, by the way, I do know the stream has a massive delay. Yes, I do know the stream has a massive delay. Now coming round, Len on his lap. Sets the fastest lap of all, actually. Faster than Sasori. Even faster. Holy. Even faster there. Even faster, which is crazy to think of because not many drivers have really even gotten close to that so far, which is an interesting thing to see, really, that not a lot of drivers are even getting close to that in lap time. I think we have Zirconium coming round. Yeah, he's just starting his lap. I think we have Sasoi, who's also coming in on his lap. Ergo isn't pushing. His teammate BQC isn't pushing either. Soviet Mario is on an out lap. Trying to find a driver who is on a lap. It is Inspo. Inspo is on a lap. He hasn't invalidated yet. He's still pushing, which is interesting because TGF only have one driver for tonight, which is, of course, interesting, which is a sad sort of way to see them go. But this is their final dance, here in FRLT. They haven't had many, but he's got wing damage, by the way. He does have wing damage, and he is pulling into the pits now. So that is that. Disappointing weekend again. They had a double DNF last week, and it looks like it's not going to be too much better this week either. Do kind of feel bad for them in many ways. But Trashu's gone through another lap again. He's gone to go even faster. What can this man do? It has stopped raining. Well, almost stopped raining. As now Trashu brings it to the 1 minute 38. It's coming earlier and earlier in this session than I thought it would have been. And this is becoming quite interesting to see, is that the times are dropping, but they're dropping at a strange rate, where we saw within a minute and a half or a minute of each other, they weren't going down, and then all of a sudden, about 2 minutes after that, they've now dropped by about a second in pace now. So times are changing, and it is something quite crazy. Zirconium coming around, he was only improved by 2 seconds in the middle sector, probably would have made that 3, so he would have gone up into possibly the top 6 there. As he sets a 1 minute 40.7, he would have just sat behind BQC at the end of his lap. Sarpali is now on a lap. He's going to be pushing hard. Let's see what he can do. I think we've also got Soviet Mario coming around the final few corners. He's up by 3 seconds, actually, so he's finding even more time than his teammate Zirconium was. So he will be going to a 1 minute 39 at the moment. Let's see what he does. And across the line, oh, Soviet Mario, so close yet so far. 1 minute 38.742 is the front row. That's where it is to beat for the moment. Traju, he might be saving for another lap. Has he got the fuel? He does have the fuel. He's been going for ages on those tyres, by the way. Absolutely ages. I have no clue how this man is doing it, but he is doing it. We do have Reckon, who's on a lap at the moment. He's pushing hard. Let's see what this man can do. TIE need a good performance. They've only scored 3 points in 2 races so far in this season, which very much I would say they would consider not good enough so far this season. Coming round the final corner, let's see what Reckon can do. He jumps up the order. What can his teammate do, Mike Talons? He jumps up the order to P3 onto the second row, so another 3 places in front of his teammate. Very strong there from TIE. That's what you look for from a team, is that sort of performance. Zirconium up by 2.6 seconds in his middle sector, so he is going about 6/10 faster than he did last lap. So there's clearly time coming out of the lap, though, now, and you could just see this is what sort of drivers always talk about. And across the line, he only goes P7, but it is faster than he would have been. It is a lot faster than he would have been, and about 9/10 faster. So I would generally take that as a good lap in the end. We're trying to find who is next. It's this man heading round. I think we've got a slow car in the final sector. I'm not sure who that was, actually. Soviet Mario comes across the line. He's going to be pushing on another lap. Lots of drivers really close on laps now. They're all starting their proper laps. I'm not sure who is even on a flying lap right now. Soviet Mario already invalidates his lap, so it's disappointment for himself. Flappy Dragon is the next one to cross the line. I think it's JD... No, it's not JD Bergsma. It's Philip to cross the line then. I think Ergo's next. Yeah, Ergo crossing line. Remember, there's only 20 seconds left. 20 seconds is left in this session at the moment. There's not a lot of time. Drivers have got to push everything they've got now, and we'll have to see by the end of their laps how they will do. I think we got Reckon coming across the line. He's just gone slightly slower. His qualifying is now over officially. His qualifying is finished. Not enough time for anybody else to do their laps. Mike Talons can't improve. Disappointment there for himself. A lot of disappointment will be sitting there. Zirconium, though, is up by over a second. He could be finding himself onto the front row at the moment. Can he hold this lap together? That was the middle sector, and there's quite a long way to go until the end of the lap. Zirconium goes fastest of all. What a lap from himself. I think we have Ryan Benink coming up to the line next. He's improving by a second. He's on the wet tyres, though, so he's still finding a lot of time. He could go quite fast here. Now, Ryan Benink goes fourth. What a lap from himself. I think we're trying to find, I think it's Soviet Mario next. He's not improving on his lap. He's invalidated his lap. And Sarpali goes seventh. We saw Heiser cross the line. As now Inspo goes into second for TGF. A front row from himself. BQC can't improve on his lap. Flappy Dragon goes into the 1 minute 37s. Even faster. Now it's Philip. Even faster. Slightly faster. 600ths faster than that. And the lap times are coming down incredibly quickly. Kilyasko goes second for TTRE. We've now got the man, Trashu. He's not finishing his lap. He's done. His lap is done as Len now goes fastest by an absolute mile to a 1 minute 37.121. We've got one driver left, and that is JD Bergsma, but sadly, he has clearly got his front wing has gone, and that is qualifying now over. LR on pole, 3 different constructors inside of the top 3, and in all of this, the 2 teams that have probably lost out in the biggest way in the Constructors' Championship fight have been AMS, who have finished 12th and 13th in this session, which is incredibly low down. Peck are not racing tonight, by the way. Peck are not racing. They couldn't find drivers for tonight, which is, of course, incredibly frustrating for themselves in a championship fight. They did have a qualifying ban as well. Of course, Peck not here tonight does make the difference. It is, of course, a bit frustrating for them. I understand that not being able to race in championship that you're closest with points on is pretty interesting. But that means it is more of a two-way fight. But this is the grid. Len on pole, followed by Philip, Kilyasko, Flappy Dragon, Zirconium, Inspo, Traju, Soviet Mario, Ryan Benink, and Reckon finishing out the top 10. Mike Talons is 11th, followed by Sarpali, AMS Sassoy, Ergo, Heiser, BQC, and JD Bergsma last in the grid order. Oh, what a session. But just to remind you, JD Bergsma and Ryan Benink both finished that session as their best times were on the wet tyres. On the wets, by the way, not the inters. So not the faster tyre. That was clearly faster earlier on. Apologies for the pause game. I also apologize if you keep seeing my mouse come onto the screen. I only noticed that just now. It's just the screen capture being quite funny. Gulp, gulp. Time to get racing. We're going to be getting racing in the next minute or so. XRA giving themselves an amazing debut in place of RE. who sadly no longer exist. Well, they've sadly gone. Hello, Ice Cream. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a great day. You're going to be getting going in the next few moments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It means a lot to the league and everybody here. Also, big thanks to our lovely affiliates, SimRacing Center. Make sure to go check them out in the description down below. I believe I've left the Discord link there. Should be going in the next few moments. It is dry. It is dry though. It is dry though. Here for the race, it is dry in Singapore, which is of course the complete opposite of what we had. And now we are going. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Singapore for FRLT Tier 1, round number 3 of Season 3. And now into Turn 1 they go. Len leads through Turn 1. Now heading through the first section. Kiriyasko's trying to go round the outside of Philip. And it has worked perfectly there. Ryan Benink having a battle with their inspo further back. Now we can see Len is pulling off into the distance on those tyres. I believe those are the medium tyres. He is running along with many other drivers. Or it could be the hard. It is the hard tyres. I believe it is now the hard tyres at this time. Correct, and it is. And now heading round, finishing off the first sector. It is some battling further back. Soviet Mario battling with the man of Inspo. Now up to 8th he goes. Ryan Benink and his teammate Traju fighting over 6th place here. Some XR8 fighting between teammates. Very much reminds me of Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo in 2018. Heisler is round. There's a yellow flag. It is Heisler who's round. He's hit into the wall repeatedly, twice now in a row. I think that was some contact with BQC Games in 16th, who ultimately caused some of that. We'll have to see, of course, in maybe some of the reports from teams. But so far, a pretty close start and a very good start from the man of Len. Exactly what he wants to do. He led into Turn 1 with power, with strength, and nothing has gone wrong there. Sarpoli has had a bit of a moment. He's dropped through the order. He's had a big moment, actually. He's down to 15th now. AMS's title hopes really started to disappear. BQC trying to send a move down the inside. Sarpoli will defend it, though, and hold on to 15th for now, while Sasori has dropped a place, I believe, down to 13th now in this race. So things aren't going well. Sarpoli really struggling to keep the car out on track. He does have wing damage. It is confirmed Sarpoli has wing damage on that V-Carb, and he does get a 3-second time penalty for extending the track limits a few too many times, as now he will very soon drop down to 16th in this race currently. But we can see Len leads, DRS enabled for Kiriyasko and everybody behind, as long as they are within a 1-second gap of the car in front. Oh! Len has spun! Len half spun it. He's lost the lead. Down to 10th he goes. Massive mistake from LR. And in just the second lap, I have no words for what I have just seen. A massive mistake from the Sauber there. And that is a mistake you don't want to be making in Singapore. It's now he drops from 1st to 10th. He might need to fight this hard. As we can see some battling further back. It is Sasoi versus Mike Talons. And now Sasoi gets through into 12th place for AMS. Still no points for the Constructors' Champion leaders, which will currently be their worst finish to date in FRLT. They have scored points in every single race they have raced in ever. And now, currently, they're on their way to not do that and have their worst finish, which would, of course, be terrible. But Kirill Yasko now leads for TTRE, a complete change from last week. Reckon and Inspo coming together slightly. Inspo cuts the corner. He might have to give the place back, but at the moment he isn't. He's holding on to it. The game has clearly told him not to, or now he will, as he now does let Reckon back past. He now actually loses out to Len as well at the same time. So Len back up into 9th place now. He's pushing his way through the grid, but that gap has already extended quite high. 2 seconds between 7th and 8th. The gap already building between the grid. Two groups now really sit in the midfield. And now here comes Philip for ABE. Down the inside he goes into this left-hander, and it is the lead. Oh no, but the switchback from Kirill Yasko to take the lead back almost straight away before even the next corner came round. What a move from Kirill Yasko, and that is once again the lead for TTRE here tonight, and that is exactly what TTRE will be hoping for along with Kirill Yasko. Oh, a bit wide, jumping over the curb. You can just see the car is struggling to deal with the curbs round this track that does have very high and rather difficult curbing. But you can see AB and LR both struggling to get past this man, as Reckon has dropped through the order a bit. He's now down to 11th. Len up to 8th in this race now. So LR having a bit of a comeback, but disappointment for LR. They were on their way to lead this race for quite a while. Now they find themselves down, really far down, and in 3rd and 8th now, which is a rather disappointing position to have themselves in, especially from a win and I believe 4th place. So an incredibly disappointing few moments they've had. But onto lap 4 we go. Len has set the fastest lap of the race on those hard tyres. Let's give you a quick view of the tyres for the moment as we watch this battle out in the lead. You can see positions gained and lost. Len has had the most, but Ergo's had the most places gained of 5 places gained off of the start. And now here comes the man of Philip. He's going to try and make the move work this time, as now we head into the next corner, and it's the move completed. Not deep this time, and now ABE takes the lead of the race for the first time in quite a while. But as I was saying, I'm going to show you the tyres we have with the drivers. Mike Talons has had a... Oh, it's Inspo! It's Inspo who's had the moment. He spun round. TGF's day gets worse in their final race. It gets even worse from a double DNF to 16th. Disappointing way to see them go. But we can see most drivers on the medium tyres. We do have 4 drivers who started on those hard tyres, which is quite interesting to see. You can see Heisler, though, quite far back. Zirconium, by the way, trying to make a move on Ryan Benink, unable to make the move just yet on the Red Bull. But these two Williams are storming behind it is the ETE duo versus the XR8 duo. And this is going to be an interesting fight. Team versus team, new team versus the team leaving the championship after this race. Who's going to get the better? And this is all what it's going to come down to. A bit of a moment further back, by the way. Sarpely's round, and he's in the wall. Sarpely, massive mistake. AMS, their title hopes are now looking a little bit out of reach, as now Sarpely pulls into the pits. Is he going to retire the car? He does. This is a retirement for AMS, their first of the season. Disappointment walking AMS's way here tonight, and it is not what they would have been hoping for, and it is massive, massive disappointment for the team of AMS. Only one driver on his way 4 points, and that is only 1 point in their title run, which would be to date equal to their worst finish as last season. The final race, I believe, of last season, they finished P10, which was their equivalent of their worst race ever in FRLT in their long standing time of racing in FRLT, of course. As I believe 26, it's their 29th, soon to be in round 4 will be their 30th race competed in FRLT, which is quite a lot, 100% race rate in FRLT. But Kirill Yasko continues to lead. No changes going on throughout the grid order, as now Sasoi actually is making a grid change. Oh, he's had a bit of a slip on the rear. He's gone down to 10th. Oh, bit of a moment there for AMS. They're not getting away with anything here tonight. It's a real struggle. Singapore, I know it is one of the toughest circuits on the calendar. Probably the toughest track on the calendar. Even with Monaco, I'd say the sort of race, because of its length, is so difficult. But Sasoi struggling a huge amount. Philip now retakes the lead of the race. Flappy Dragon is trying to make that move to get P2 as well. We've now actually got a 4-way battle for the win here, by the way, because we've got one ABE, one TTRE, one LR, and one XR8 on debut, all fighting for the win. And Ryan Benink in the other Red Bull XR8 car, not much further behind, along with some of the others, for instance, like Soviet Mario, hoping to take ETE and get their first win in FRLT ever, which will be very interesting to see in Tier 1. Traju, by the way, making the move on Flappy Dragon for P3. He's trying to make the move. Is it going to work side by side into the next corner? Oh, a bit deep from Flappy Dragon, and the move is now completed, and XRA are onto the podium. Finally, they've made it onto the podium, and there they go. And that is exactly what a debut does look like in this league. As now Ergo, by the way. Nice move from Ergo to make himself up to P10 and onto another point for HRT. HRT having a bit of a struggle this race as well, very similar to AMS. They've been pushing for points as now Reckon DNFs. Reckon is out. TIE. Reckon is now out. Ah, disappointment for TIE. They're not looking good this season. They've really had a struggle. All of these drivers are going to get to go around the circuit at full at the safety car speed and pit. But wow, this season has not been kind to TIE. They've really struggled. Last season, I think they finished with over 50 points. I think it was just over 50 points they finished last season with. And currently they sit with 3 points and not on for another point here tonight. Remember, it is only I believe it is only a 10 race calendar or an 11 race calendar this season. I can never remember. It is just a 10 race calendar this season. Yeah, only 10 races. That's all we're going to have for season number 3. I was double checking because I know a lot of calendars, there are 11 races, but it is a 10 race calendar. So it is our shortest calendar we've had. And so, this is the 30% mark. At the end of this race, we'll be 30% of the way through the season. And for teams, this is an important moment for a lot of teams. So let's see how they're going to do in the pit stops. How can these guys do? Who's going to stay out? Who is staying out? Sasoi is the man who's going to stay out, actually. Let's see, where does Philip come out? Because he's going to have traffic. He actually gets a good pit stop there. Len stays out, along with Sasoi, the only 2 drivers to have stayed out. AMS going for the bold strategy on the hard tyres, thinking they can go even longer into this race. They know they can go a lot longer into this race. They know they could go to about lap 15 to lap 20. They can go on those hard tyres easily. With lap 20 pushing towards the end, really, on those hard tyres. So this is going to be interesting to see. Oh, Timon, everyone is lagging so hard for you. Oh. I'm going to say this now, Timon. You're lagging on my screen. I think it's you. I'm not saying this to be mean, but I do believe it is you that is currently having a small internet issue. But yeah, Len now leads LR, the man who was leading, back into the lead of this race. Once again, it's taken him a while to retake the lead of this race. But he now does. He's now retaken the lead for the first time in a little while. LR leading a race once again, getting laps under their belt. But heading round, you can see Philip's already caught up. There's only 2 drivers, remember, who have stayed out on these tyres. But an early safety car has made a change. The gaps between the grid, of course, are going to come all the way down. They're all going to be right next to each other now. So we're going to have, it's almost going to be like a rolling start that we're going to see. Not a lot of drivers have actually closed up. Only 8 drivers currently are in this group. Not a lot of drivers have actually caught up. Only 8 drivers currently within the safety car distance. That's soon to become 9 now. But we've got another 3 drivers within a short distance, and then we've got a long wait for the next 2, and then an even longer wait for Heisler, who's in 15th and currently still in the middle sector, who is flying around the track. I do give it to him. He is flying around the track with speed. He is really trying to go as fast as he can out on track. But of course, you can't go too quickly, or he might cause another incident. So he's just trying to get around the track as quickly as he can, but he's so far behind. I mean, he was about 40, nearly 50 seconds, I think, off of the pack. I think he was about 50 seconds away from the leader off of the next car. So Mike Tallons now gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. TIE's day just not getting any better, and their season not getting any better, reaching the third race. It'll be really disappointing for TIE if this is how their season sort of continues, because they've only scored 3 points, and if they end this race with no points, it means they would have only scored 1 point on average per race, which isn't the worst we've seen it in real life F1, but here in league racing, it's one of the lowest points scored between teams that we've ever had. Especially to complete as they're set to complete the full season, it'll be the lowest we've ever had for a team completing a full season, scoring just 3 points as it currently sits. So they really do need to get in some luck here. They need to get some luck. They need to get some good drive in them, because this team, I think at the end of last season, we saw, they kind of struggled. They didn't score a lot of points. Remember, they got that win last season in Imola, their only Tier 1 win they've ever achieved on their second race in Tier 1. It's their only race that they've ever achieved it. And sadly, to some degree, they have had that struggle, of course, of that it's been a really tough sort of 10 races for them. Their last I'd say probably their last 7 to 8 races have been really rough on them, as they've scored very little points. But the safety car is now about to leave the track, and we're finally about to get racing once again. Len hasn't stopped, Sosoi hasn't stopped. They're the only two that have yet to have stopped in this race. They're going to be leading away, and Len does get away, and he actually gets a really good restart. He's already pulled away quite nicely there as we roll on to lap 10 into the double digits finally in this race. So now they make their way through, but it's been a really good restart from Len. He's gotten away incredibly well, although his tyre wear won't be helping him, and for the others it will be helping them. But of course, those hards won't be overly used. They've had 3 laps under safety car. They've saved their tyres for 3 laps, which means realistically they could go 3 laps longer on these hard tyres, or even at least 2 laps longer. Of course, helps themselves. But these front two, holding on to the lead, thought they would have been swarmed by now, but they're holding on to it nicely. We know Sosoi has a great winning record in FRLT. By my account, I think he has 4 wins as a driver, which is the most out of anybody. And this season, of course, he took on another win, so I think he has 5 wins now in FRLT, which is the most out of anybody. He's hoping to maybe capture that 6th win of his FRLT career almost. The hope to get that 6th victory, under the AMS name under his belt in this league. Last season, very much dominated FRLT with his 4 victory run that he had throughout the season. This season, he's hoping for another one to make it a 5th. Now, into the final couple of corners, the final few, as you come around to start lap 11, our first full lap of racing. Don't mind the safety car sign, it is just a glitch within the game, like many. And across the line, LR lead for another lap here in FRLT. They've led for quite a few laps now. Last race in this race, they've led for they're leading for quite a lot of laps here tonight. They've led, by my account, they've led most of the laps here tonight. I believe they led, of course, 1 lap off of the start. They've now led, I believe, 5. That was the 4th lap, by the way, under safety car. So they have now led 5 laps this race, which is a good half of the race. There's now a move, I think, from Traju we see further back. He's trying to make his way past. He's trying to get past Kirill Yasko as fast as he can. He wants to get up the order. He's going to try and get up the order, and he does. And into P4 he goes. Traju really been the man on form. He didn't have the best of qualifying, but he's now up into a few positions. Remember, Kirill Yasko also has that penalty against his name. I believe it's just a 3-second time penalty. So for him, he is going to struggle when he's going to get those 3 seconds added on to his end of race time, which will drop him down the order at the moment, which will drop him outside of the top 10 as it stands, which will be incredibly disappointing. It will drop down to P12, possibly even P14 in this race. So TTRE not having the best of days either. They're not too high up in the constructors. I believe they're 5th or 4th in the constructors at the moment. So it's not been the best of starts of season for themselves. still waiting on that long-awaited victory as well. The last driver to win for them was Estember back last season, so they've been waiting a long while back in Hungary from last season. Now here comes Traju on the man of Philip. Into P3 goes, and into the net lead when these front two pit. This is exactly the interesting thing. Inspo now retires from the session. TGF and their campaign comes to an end in a brutal way. 3 retirements in 2 races. Disappointment coming their way. Now heading down this back straight. Here comes the man of Traju into the next corner. He heads down the inside and through he goes into P2. And that is the move he needed to make in this race here tonight. We can see some battling over P5 here. Flappy Dragon trying to get past. He's really trying to... Whoa! A spin for Kirill Yasko. Contact between the two. Ryan Benink jumps up the order. I'm trying to find the words because drivers are inside of each other at the moment as the ghosting tries to work. Because it doesn't really work on this game. But everything and anything is now happening as now Flappy Dragon makes his way up into P6 once again. He holds on to the place that he was as now he tries to close up with his teammate. And now into... next corner, Ergo holds on to P7 as Soviet Mario gets up into P8 in this race. ETE going for final points. They're going for double points as well. 5 more points to move their way in the Constructors. So hopefully by the end of the season, it'll be pretty interesting to see. What's interesting to see is XRA, who are on for 28 points, who might, by my account, they'll move up into the top 5 in the Constructors currently. Kirill Yasko now retires from the session. Another retirement. Disappointment for TTRE. Not on their way for any points here tonight. The only TTRE driver left is Hislar, who's had a bit of another spin again, as he now drops down to 13th. Really, TTRE in their day has not been good as Traju goes for the lead of the race. And that is now XR8, who finally lead. If he reaches the end of this lap leading this race, he would have led 1 lap for XR8 this season. Cross the line once with their name leading their first lap to be led. And possibly many more to see across not only this race, but for the rest of the season. So Koenig gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's going to drop him outside of the top 10. So HRT, though, having a bit of a comeback here. P7 and P11 at the moment. 6 points could be coming their way here tonight. So there's still a chance. They've still got those points in their hands. They've still got another 6 points coming their way. JD Bergsworth lagging a little bit, as we can see on our screens. But you can just see the lead isn't that big from Traju. He's not gaining massively in front of Sasoi. But you can see this line all the way down to 11th. Sorry, down to 12th. Very close. Only Hislar is left. He's the only driver not within this group. But still 12 drivers all very close to each other. For 3-4 laps now we've had this. Philip is off the pace. That's what we're hearing. Philip is off the pace. And we're seeing it here, actually. We're seeing he is struggling. He is struggling quite a bit to keep up. He is only in 4th. He hasn't been able to get past Len or Sasoi for quite a few laps now. And that's getting a bit worrying for himself. That he hasn't been able to make the move. BQC trying to make the place for P10 and for that final point. And he does make the move past Zirconium for P10 in this race. HRT on for double points now to continue their campaign. On for another 7 points this evening, which should help them. I believe they only have 15 points overall this season so far, so another 7 points will very much help themselves to that. But we can see JD Bergsworth lagging all over the place. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please think about subscribing, leaving a like. Also, think about clicking on the notification bell to know about all of our content from videos, shorts, and our streams and the streams themselves. Hope you guys do enjoy them. Also, make sure to go and check us out on Twitter or X, either one you use, or either one you like to call it. And make sure to go check us out on there. It's FRLT F1 at that. Also, make sure to go and check us out on TikTok at FRLT F1. As we can now see a move. Philip finally gets past Len. Sitting behind him for 5 laps is enough for him. as he now moves up into P3, and he's finally gotten back up onto the podium for himself. But this is an interesting point of the race now. Drivers starting to split out slightly, but they're still, the top 12, all still within a second of each other, which is interesting to see, that everybody is keeping up with the pace. Flappy Dragon now making the move on Ryan Benink for P5, by the way. LR really pushing for big points. They're on their way for 22 points tonight, which, as it stands, would be the equivalent of what HRT would have scored in their first 3 races, which is pretty interesting to see that some teams score this in a single race. XR8 as well, on for an impressive evening, on for 33 points tonight, which will just climb themselves up the order massively. So clearly some moves happening. XR8 pushing for the title. Nobody, by the way, no one has progressively won the title back-to-back. Nobody's won the title yet back-to-back. It was FG in Season 1. Then they didn't race in Season 2. And AMS, the guys who finished second in Season 1, won in Season 2 quite dominantly. As now you can see, Zirconium makes his way up into P10. And Mike Tallons makes a move past JD Bergsma. Flappy Dragon gets past Len as well, as I think Len let him pass as he knows he is faster. But that's now set over almost a 2-second gap between him and the top 3. Only Sasoi still keeping up with the man who leads of Traju, but just about. He's on the edge of that second. He's going to get overtaken as he does let Philip Fraxak make the move past. AMS really been on the back foot all weekend from qualifying to the race. Driver down as well. First driver to retire was Sarpali from AMS. It's been a really big struggle for AMS this week, which I do feel bad for them, especially off of such a dominant win from the man of Sasoi himself. The fact that he won last week, and incredibly dominantly as well. It was an incredible performance from AMS last week to now go on to only be in third at best, and plus with penalties as well. I think he has 2 penalties on top of each other. He only has 3 seconds, but that will currently drop him down almost pretty much outside of the top 10 at the moment. It will drop him down to 10th as it currently stands. So, this week not going well for AMS. And their title hopes kind of getting a bit crushed that they could get a big lead over Peck or over, of course, the team of ABE. That sort of disappears. ABE set to take the lead of the constructors as Philip is P2. They will gain 2 points. They'll currently sit 2 points in front of AMS in the constructors, by the way. That's all they're going to gain. It's just 2 points in front of AMS as it currently stands if Sasoi was to finish third, which isn't a massive lead. Peck will lose out, of course, because they'll drop 18 points to AB, and they'll also currently drop 15 points to AMS. But of course, when Sasoi pits, he might drop outside of the top 10, and ultimately he's probably going to drop outside of the top 10 at the moment, and that could ultimately lead him to failing to score points. And so AMS will continue to be 1 point in front of Peck, but it will be AB who currently will pull out that lead by 18 points and be the first team to lead the constructors out of round number 3, to not have won the constructors title yet. Every team, by the way, this is something that's interesting. Every team that's led the constructors out of the third race has gone on to win the constructors. So FG led dominantly. They got a 1-2 in the second race of the season. They struggled in round 3, but they continued to lead over AMS. FG, by the way, didn't lose the lead of the constructors once during Season 1. In all 13 races, they led the constructors from start to finish. AMS didn't. They led the constructors in 12 of the races, by the way. They led the constructors in 12 of the races. 12 of the 13 races, they led the constructors, which is the second, of course, longest run. Of course, AMS now have led the constructors out of another race, which means they have reached their 13th race of leading the constructors. They were hoping to hold on to that lead, but that's going to change as Flappy Dragon now moves into third ahead of Sasoi. But now a podium on for LR. LR on for being the highest scoring team out of the first race of the season, out of they'll be the highest scoring. They'll be the second highest scoring team actually of the night. XR8 will be the highest scoring with 33 points still on the table for them. It'll be quite interesting to see as the race goes on, as we are here on lap 18, soon to be lap 19, as our race leader Traju currently gets chased. Is currently getting chased down by the man of Philip Fraxzak for AB. AB wanting to finally secure a victory this season. They've had a bit of a struggle this season. Of course, they are second in the constructors. To be fair, they are second in the constructors. They finished third last season, behind CIE and behind AMS, of course. They were second for most of the season, but then poor performance towards the end of the season really made them struggles. Now I think we see Soy pull into the pits. Soy now into the pits along with Len. Len also in the pits, by the way. So Len has finally come in as well. Both hard runners coming in this race. These guys might need to pit again. Traju needs to do it. Okay. So it looks like Traju might need to do it. I think he's gone hard. Maybe, I don't know. But as you can see, everybody's on the hards except Soy and Len, who are both on the medium tyres. They're the only two on the medium tyres. Interesting race we've had so far. It's now down to, of course, we had like a 4-5-way fight for the win. Now we're down to a 2-way fight for the win between XR8 and ABE. Philip Fraxzak has proven his worth to ABE before. He secured, I think, a podium or two before. He secured quite a few points for them as well. But let's see as Traju makes his way round into these next few corners and see whether Philip Fraxzak can make that move going on to lap 20. Can he make it? Will he make it now, or will he make it on lap 20 itself? Probably onto lap 20. Hope everybody's having a great night. Please think about subscribing, leaving a like. Also make sure to check out our affiliates, as now Traju actually comes into the bits. He's now come in, so he loses the lead. Philip Fraxzak now leads the race. So let's see how he's going to do as he now leads. HRT back onto the podium here tonight, by the way. They're back onto the podium now, on for 15 points, onto double. And actually go over double to 23, gain 23 points in their campaign, which is more than they scored in their opening two races. But Philip Fraxzak hoping and currently on his way to take the lead of the constructors for ABE. 27 points will be walking their way tonight, which I believe will be their most points scored this season. I think, if I'm correct, it will be their most points scored this season, which is, or equal, I think it's equal to their most points scored this season, but we'll have to see. But as you can see, as Philip Fraxzak leads by over 2.5 seconds, the top three splits by about almost 5 seconds now. The top five getting, the top three almost split by 5 seconds and not much more, down to P9, who are all split by a few tenths, a massive line of drivers. Everybody's pretty much almost in the same sector as each other and almost within a corner's range of each other at the moment. So yeah, it's an interesting fight. We've still got Hislar, by the way, who, even through all the troubles he's had, he's P10 in this race. He's still P10. He's just sitting here nicely. He knows that Traju, Soy, and Len will struggle to keep up with him, will struggle to catch him unless he stops again in this race. So he's just sitting here. Whoa! Big move there. JD Bozeman getting past Mike Talons for P8. And now there goes JD Bozeman into P7 ahead of Zirconium. ABE now smell the Constructors title fight and a massive Constructors title lead, as now JD Bozeman is up to P6 and on for another 6 points. And that's going to add onto their season and make it to 31 points currently in this race, which will be a massive lead over AMS to pull 30 points into the Constructors' Championship leads. We could see Mike Talons also trying to go for a move. Zirconium gets pushed off the track. Mike Talons lets him still stay on the inside. He doesn't push him wide. Some nice racing we're actually getting tonight. Very, very nice racing. And around the outside, whoa, a spin for Mike Talons. The day is looking over and rather bleak for the team of TIE. It's a mistake from him, and that is a big mistake, and that is down to P10 he goes, and more disappointment walking the way of himself. Yeah, interesting one. Interesting one here tonight. It's definitely an interesting one for one team, and that is, of course, TIE, who's sitting in almost the same boat as TTRE, who both are having a very poor weekend so far. 2 points more for TTRE, 1 point more for TIE, which will keep their hopes alive slightly more. But he will now drop down to P11 with Traju catching him, and with a penalty, he will drop down to P11 in tonight's race, which of course is massively disappointing. That no points for TIE, making it only 1 point on average per race. Is he going to come in to retire? I think we'll be seeing retirement from TIE. Mike Talons. Yes, it is disappointing retirement from himself. The disappointment walking his way. TIE, double DNF, no points scored this race. More disappointment walking their way. Their season not looking much better. They will have an average of 1 point per race, the lowest out of any team. With even the debuting team scoring more, of course, of XR8, who'll be scoring more overall, which is disappointing for themselves. You can just see the complete difference between some of these drivers at the moment. They're completely on, some drivers are on a completely different level. Some drivers are really trying hard. Others aren't. It's, some drivers are having a struggle. And you see it though. You see the difference between teams at the moment. You see the sort of slight differences, but teams like HRT are just being consistent in the races. They're not making mistakes when it comes down to the races. Here comes BQC trying to make the move on Soviet Mario now. Into turn one, they go side by side, and there's the move. Neatly done by the HRT driver. You see his day getting a bit worse, but it is now P4 and P5. 22 points walking the way of HRT, I should say. Walking their way here tonight at the moment. They're on their way for very big points once again, which of course is quite nice to have. But here comes Soviet Mario again, trying to go round the outside. Oh, BQC went a bit deep on the brakes. He's going to try and keep the car steady, and he does. And he does hold on to P5, and that's a good move. And that's a good 10 points walking his way here tonight, and more hope for a title fight as now Sasoi drops down to P12. AMS, a day getting miserable. Their worst race finish is what they're currently on for. Their worst race finish ever. They've scored points in every single race they have been in. And this race doesn't look like to be one of them. It looks like to be a horrible title fight. This time last season, it was this race, round 3 last season, was AMS Sasoi's victory, was his charge and his amazing drive. And his sort of, the race just before he got consistent. This time last season, TIE won, by the way. They won their first race, known as TIR at that point. They won their one and only race they've ever won. And this week, and this season, it is only going to be a double DNF. Worst of luck for them. AMS also came away with a podium. It's not looking like that today. It's looking like a lot of disappointment for themselves. I am seeing this little battle for the podium heating up a bit. Ryan Benink he does have a penalty, Ryan Benink, so no podium for XR8. Maybe they've dropped the ball slightly, as now you can see Sasoi makes it back up to P11. Oh, the day not being nice to AMS, nor is it being nice to LR exactly, but we'll have to see. But Flappy Dragon on his way for a podium, and LR on their way for a podium as well to add to their season. The race has started to become a little bit more spaced out, but we're seeing some drivers starting to catch others. For this, Traju starting to catch Zirconium. He's starting to catch him at quite a fast rate, actually. The seconds are coming down incredibly quickly. 3 seconds at the start of this lap. That's now become a small 1.7. He's halving the gap each lap by about 1.5 seconds, but you could just see he's all over the back of Zirconium already, and with a penalty, that will drop Zirconium down to P10 anyway. As here comes Traju on Zirconium. He's brought down that gap. He's trying to send the move down the inside. Zirconium doesn't want to let him, but good side-by-side and clean racing we're actually seeing here tonight, which is quite surprising. As you can see coming round. Can he make the move? He has the grip. He has the superior grip, and into P9 goes Traju, and up into 2 points he will score here tonight for XR8, and that is 2 points that they really would like to see this evening. One gap that I'm seeing that is coming down is actually the gap between Flappy Dragon and Ryan Benink. I think Ergo is actually pushing Ryan Benink to drive faster, or Flappy Dragon is struggling on his tyres, because we're seeing Flappy Dragon, the gap down to 1.3 seconds. It was 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds actually, not too long ago, only about a lap or two, about 2 laps ago, it was 2.1 seconds. Now it's down to 1.2. Flappy Dragon's having a couple of really rough laps. He's really losing a lot of time. I'm not sure what's happened to the LR driver, because he's really losing out now. He's lost. The fact that he's losing a lap in every second in every lap or two is not really what you need. Especially this lap, he's lost about 3.5 tenths in the first sector. And Ryan Benink isn't particularly setting the times alight either. This is exactly what you don't expect to see. This is exactly what you don't expect to see during a race. But we are seeing it here tonight. Ryan Benink trying to close in within a second. We might then have a 3-way fight. He is now within a second, but we might now have a 3-way fight for second place, actually. I know Ryan Benink has a penalty, but that could all change if he wants to try and get it removed, which he could, realistically. But he's using his ERS. He's within a second. He now has that DRS. He's actually escaping Ergo as well at the same time, by the way, which is actually not a bad move that he's trying to get away from Ergo, and he is getting away from Ergo because Ergo's over a second behind now. Yeah, this is an interesting few moments because both HRT drivers under some pressure. One's under pressure to make moves. The other is under pressure to defend position from Soviet and JD Bergsma, who gets another 3-second time penalty, not helping his race here tonight. And now heading down towards turn 1. Ryan Benink, is he going to make the move? He's so much faster. He's around a second faster again last lap. Big mistake from Flappy Dragon out of turn 3. It's another big mistake. Traju makes the move for P8. More points coming his way and XR8's way. They might not win, but they are definitely on for some big points here tonight. Or for some decent points. As Ryan Benink now takes P2. And that is a move he needed to make as he now sits almost 2 seconds in front of Ergo, the man who was only about 3 or 4 tenths in front of a few laps ago. As the laps are now coming down, an early push from him could be a bit of a difference in strategy, but now sitting about 1.9 seconds, almost 2 seconds now between the two. He's trying to get that podium. He's trying to extend that gap to a podium gaining position, as he will now be 2 seconds in front. He needs another second in his lap, because see, he is starting to pull away from Flappy Dragon now. As we watch on, we can see Ryan Benink pulled not too much further in front, but he's trying to do something here. He's kind of stuck in this scenario now where he's lost a bit of his pace. He's maybe pushed a bit too hard on his tyres. Now he's got to try and go the last small step of the distance, the last few hurdles of the distance, specifically 4 hurdles left, 4 laps left to go round. He's not too far away from Philip Frakzak, who it has extended his lead, but it is starting to come down a bit Again, another driver who is struggling to stay out in the lead, by the way. He's another driver who is struggling a bit to stay out leading. As now we see AMS Sasoi make the move for P9. He's ahead of Hislar now, up into the top nine. So AMS not on for their worst finish now. Only on for 2 points, but it's not going to be their worst finish ever. And it's another 2 points that's going to help them out. As we can see, Sasoi, he's trying to close down on that P8 and P7 in front of him. You can see Len now making the move down the inside of Hislar he goes. But if we actually have a look at the penalties, because we need to figure out the penalties now. Penalty-wise, it's 3 seconds for Sasoi. As now we saw Traju, by the way, get up into P7. Strong move. So we know Sasoi will finish at least P10 in this race, so he will at least score 1 point. He will score at least 1 point in this race, which, I mean, is something. Which is something for AMS, of course, that at least they can go, we have scored a point in this race, and it does help us. It gains us another point in front of, for instance, the team of Peck, one of their closest rivals. Their closest rival officially at the moment is now JD Bergsma is dropping down behind Traju, but he's not going to let Traju go. Traju has a big moment there, as now you can see, look at that. Sasoi trying to get past the man of Soviet Mario at the same time as he does make the move work. And up into 8th he goes. A strong move made from himself. And that is a good move made. And that's exactly what he needed here tonight. And Sasoi now up into P8. But he's still going to be P10 at the end of the race, which is not what you want to be having at all. It's the worst thing you could be having at any point. See some lagging from some connection problems coming from JD Bergsma, which of course is a big issue. Now coming around, let's see how they will do going into the final 2 laps of this race. Philip Fraxak still leads by almost 4 seconds. He still hasn't relinquished that lead in a very long time. In, I believe, about 12 or 13 laps, he hasn't relinquished that lead. He's had one of the longest leading runs out of anybody in a single race, which is quite interesting to see. I definitely want to look back at all of our races at some point, probably at the end of the season, and see who's led the most laps in 2024 as a league, as its first year. Who has led the most laps in 2024 out of anybody? I think it would be quite a nice thing to see. As JD Bergsma now makes the move for P6. Look at this, getting completely swallowed up by all the cars around him. So battling Traju. Oh, Traju's round! Traju is now round, and that is him down to P10. He now retires from the session on track. And that is XR8's disappointment and just complete disbelief. 2 laps were remaining. He had a chance. He could have still finished the race realistically and still scored a point. But I guess TCRE will now walk away with the point at least at the end of the day. But craziness at the end. So Sasoi might get another penalty at the end of the night. He might get he's probably going to, at the moment, I think we could be seeing a report coming his way with a penalty on his name, with his name on. And that will be quite difficult to escape from. But it is Philip Fraxak's final lap. And the final lap of the race. This man has been dominant. He's led for 13, 14 laps now without anybody really being close to him. He leads by 3.5 seconds in this race. It's been mental. This race has been crazy. To be fair, a lot of the retirements have come from drivers just purely giving up rather than crashing. I think Sarpoli and Reckon were the 2 who I think retired. Sarpoli retired by his own choice. It was only Reckon who actually DNF'd from crashing. As now Len moves up into P8. He gets in front of Soviet Mario. Only 2 points is the way that ECE will see their season out. See the team out, which is a disappointing finish, but it is still points on the board But coming round, it's not long for the race. The race is almost over. AB will still take a solid points and take the lead of the constructors massively, while AMS have to sit there and watch as their constructors lead disappears completely and all of that hard work of round 2 disappears. But it is Philip Fraczak who makes his way round towards the final few corners. There isn't long left in this lap and in this race. Only a few corners left to navigate, only 2 left now. Philip Fraczak, a day of brilliance for AB and a day of persistence. Philip Fraczak wins in FRLT Tier 1 in round 3 of Season 3 here at Singapore. And what a victory it is for himself. Flappy Dragon finishes second with Ergo. He does finish third with Ryan Benink finishing 4th in the end. Len moves down to P9 at the end of the race. I think he had penalties against him, actually. So he did move down. So Soy finishes 7th at the end of the race, scoring some good points. And 6 more points for AMS to pull themselves a solid 7 points ahead of Peck in the end. While Peck were absent, they might have lost. They might still be 3rd in the constructors, but they've lost a big chunk of points. Rather crazy day, I must say. A rather crazy day we've seen once again. As you can see, massive celebrations. ABE getting away with it once again, and another victory walking their way. Here is the rundown of the order. Philip Fraczak from 2nd to 1st. What a day of brilliance from ABE. Flappy Dragon finishes 2nd and on the podium for LR, where they thought they should have won. Ergo ultimately finishes 3rd. What a day for himself, 11 places up. Then Ryan Benink 4th, followed by BQC Games, Soviet Mario, Sasoy, JD Bergsma, Len, and Hislar, who finish out the points, who scores 2 points because he also achieved fastest lap. Zirconium finishes 11th with Traju in 12th. Though finally we have Mike Talons, Kirill Yasko, Inspo, Rekon, and Sarpley, who are all of our retirements this week. I'm seeing some comments of people saying about the driving standards. And it is generally crazy to have so many retirements. Out of 17 drivers, to have 6 retirements is mental. Is mental. See. Yeah, interesting day here tonight. But yeah, that is that. That is the race all over. And it is time to ask if anybody... we're not going to be doing interviews tonight, sadly. We're a little bit close. We're a little bit tight on time. A little bit tight on time tonight, and so we won't be doing interviews, but let's have one last look at the calendar for the season. We've now completed Australia, China, and Singapore, and next week we'll be going to Las Vegas for the final race before Christmas. Then we'll be going to Monza, Austria, Britain, and Kota after the winter break. Then we'll be having a break week before we head into February with Abu Dhabi and Belgium for the final ones, for the final 2 races of the season. Belgium, of course, the opening race of last season. Now is the finale of this season. Quick look at the standings before we go. By the way, RRE is now XR8. Just to make it clear to drivers and to just everybody, because I forgot to change it. It's my bad. TIE still at the moment they'll still sit in 9th. They'll actually finish last. They'll go down to last in the standings. TGF will also drop down to 9th, I do believe, based off of this race. HRT put in a very good performance. Absolutely crazy race. I have no words. AB will take the lead of the constructors, though. They didn't score points last race. They will now this race. But ultimately, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please think about subscribing and leaving a like. Also, make sure to click on the notification bell about So, all about what is happening here in FRLT, from clips, videos, shorts, everything, to even streams like this. Make sure to join us for all of it. We'll be having 4s on Sundays, and of course Tier 1 here on Tuesdays. We'll be back once again this week and next week, before we then finally go for the Christmas break. Also, just to make it clear, also big thanks to our affiliates, SRC, or SimRacing Center. The link to their Discord server is down below. Make sure to check it out. Ultimately, that is all from me. Please have a great week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.